Relationship Realities with
Roland
and Raina. We're going to be giving you a little funny, a little crazy, and a whole lot of reality.
Hey, welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back, guys.
Thank you, as always, for the support. And if you're new to the podcast, be sure to stick around. You're going to have a lot of fun over here.
Absolutely.
So in this episode, we're going to be discussing friends of the same sex.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is probably a bit of a touchy subject. Maybe a little bit controversial, would you say?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. But we're going to share our thoughts on it as well as some personal stories. So stick around.
Those stories are very interesting.
Yes,
to
they
say
are.
the least.
Oh, yeah.
We are also going to be discussing some recent revelations from Roland's previous job.
Yes, we are.
So definitely stick around for that juicy little tidbit at the end.
Yes. So let's get into what we were up to this past weekend.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we decided, since spring kind of poked our head out this past weekend, the sun was out. It was a little cold, but the sun was out. So Roland and I decided to go out and get some footage for our recent video, as well as some other videos that we're working on. So
Yeah.
we took some of our equipment out and got some pretty good footage, I think.
Oh, yeah, we definitely did. You can find that video on our YouTube channel, which is also accessible through our website, rrwithrr.com, as well as our Facebook page.
Right. Yes. Everything is super accessible from our website, rrwithrr.com. And Roland actually recently redid our website. It looks pretty amazing.
I tried.
It's kind of like a one-stop shop. You have all of our social media accessible from the page.
Yeah.
So it looks great, babe.
Thanks, babe.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, so make sure you stop by and watch that video. I'm sure it'll make you laugh at least one time.
Yes, at least once throughout the video, Roland and I had a blast putting
Yeah,
it
we
together.
did.
And there were several times where we had to stop filming because we were laughing so hard and had to retake quite
Yes.
a few scenes.
Yeah, it was a ton of fun.
It absolutely was.
Yeah. So this week we're going to be talking about friends of the opposite sex.
Yes. So this subject is kind of sits in a gray area, in my opinion. And obviously everybody's relationship dynamic is very different. So what may work for one person may not work for another.
Right.
For me, for example, I spent, 15 plus years in the military. So the vast majority of my friends are males.
Yeah.
And I have very strong bonds with a lot of them because of the things that, that you go through together in the military. And, I value their friendships, but there's a line. And I think that is, for me, it's a very hard line. And I ensure that at no time do any of my friends, military or otherwise, disrespect, our relationship.
Yeah.
Or disrespect, Roland. That's just, that is end of story, end of sentence. Like that is not going to happen. And I think that is where people can get into trouble because they allow their friends to make comments because of the length of the friendship or, the perceived notion that, oh, my friend didn't mean anything by it. And as an example, if I were to post a picture of myself and in a nice dress or something on Facebook or, some other social media, and a male friend were to make a comment about my legs, or that I look sexy, that is a no-go. Like that is absolutely not appropriate.
No, it's not.
I would stop that immediately. And to me, any person that would cross that boundary, especially knowing that, I'm in a relationship or whoever is in a relationship, is definitely not a friend that I want to have in my life.
Yeah.
And, I trust Roland completely. And I
hope so.
And I know that he trusts me as well.
Yeah.
And that's where that trust and communication comes in, where if there was something that somebody said that made him uncomfortable, I trust that he would bring it to my attention. Because I think sometimes, especially if you've been friends with somebody for a very long time, you kind of overlook some things that may not be acceptable to your partner. So it's important that you have that open door with your partner and you can communicate, hey, I saw this. I'm not really comfortable with that, and allow your partner to take action.
Yeah.
You know, you don't want to just jump in and start going back and forth with somebody on Facebook or whatever, because that's not a good look.
Right.
You have to be an active listener. You can't just disregard, what your partner is saying. And Roland is the person I'm going to spend my life with. So that's who should matter the most. Now, obviously, I trust that Roland is not a jealous, crazy person, and he's not going to flip out over silly stuff. So I have to take his feelings into consideration when he comes to me with these things, and not just, cast him off, because that's not good for your relationship.
Right. I totally agree.
Right.
And that's where it's important to listen and be understanding, because if you just cast off what your partner is saying, that's when contempt kind of sneaks in and you start not to trust your partner at all. So.
Right, absolutely. Because then it's, well, you're picking your friends over me.
Yeah.
And that's not good.
It comes down to trust.
Right.
In my opinion, it's all trust-based. I totally trust you. I would never in a million years think that you would do anything. And I'm glad that you feel the same about me. Yeah, so I also think that a certain situation, like, for example, if I was having issues with Raina about something, whatever, and I felt that I would get more out of talking about that with a female friend, that would open up a door possibly in that female's mind that, not only am I opening up to her, she could possibly think that she's like she has like an in on me, possibly, and that could make her think of our friendship in a totally different way. Right. That she can kind of fix me or us, or, that she would be totally...
Or just that we're having problems, and that's her way in, if she can, force a wedge even further in there.
Right.
And not only that, but if I were to find out that you were talking to another woman about our problems, I would flip my lid. So
I understand that. That's why I don't do any of that.
Right.
I just, our issues we deal with each other.
Exactly.
Because it's our business.
Exactly.
Right. And it's what we need to work on. So yeah, even though our issues are very minuscule compared to some others that I've heard, but yeah.
Right. I think I agree. It's very important to not air your dirty laundry. I know that a lot of people take to social media and post passive aggressive, quotes or sayings about their relationship, and all you're doing is opening up the door. That's everything that you should be fixing should be between you and your partner. And if you need to find comfort with somebody else, you really need to take a hard look at your relationship, because you and your partner should be the ones communicating with each other. And that is also something on your partner as well. If you don't feel comfortable talking to your partner about this, then maybe your partner should take a look at how they are receiving the information. So it's a two-way street. It's not just on one person or the other. It's a collective effort.
Right. And I would highly recommend not using social media for venting about your problems, because in the last 14, 15 years that we're going back to MySpace days.
Oh my gosh.
14, 15 years.
You just aged us right now. You know that, right?
I know. But 14, 15 years of basically reading about people's problems.
I know.
I can't tell you how many people I've defriended because I just didn't want to hear their problems,
Well, and not only
relationship
that,
problems or whatever.
But they're opening themselves up to ridicule. You know, because if you are constantly talking about your relationship, you know, one minute you can't stand him or her and they're doing you dirty, and then the next minute you're in heaven, and the next minute, you know, they're doing it again. All you're doing is making yourself look foolish, and the rest of us are laughing at you, basically.
Right. You know, speaking about venting to other people, you know, I've got a little juicy story that I'd like to share with you guys.
So this is going along the lines of what we're discussing.
Yes, definitely.
Oh, I love juicy stories. Go ahead.
Yes. So, I used to know a guy. I don't know him very much anymore. I haven't heard from him. Maybe I'll fill y'all in on the backstory, you know, in the future at some point. But I used to know him quite some time ago. And the last time I talked to him, really, I asked him how him and his friends were doing.
Right.
It was him and one couple. It was a guy and a woman. They were really close.
Okay.
As far as I knew. The last time I talked to him, I asked him how they were doing, and he said that they had a falling out.
Uh-oh.
Yeah. And I said, well, what's up? What happened? And so he spilled it to me. To make it easier for you guys, I'm going to give the married couple names. It's going to be Ross and Rachel.
Awesome.
And then the separate guy that's talking to Rachel, his name's Joey.
Perfect. Then Joey is your friend.
Yes,
Okay.
Joey is my friend.
Okay.
So, as the story goes, Joey was talking to Rachel nonchalantly, just like normal, because they were friends, right? And Rachel, for some reason, just brings up how Ross and her aren't doing very well.
Okay. So she's starting to air her issues.
Yes.
Okay.
She's starting to kind of spill her issues on Joey, and Joey's absorbing it.
Okay.
You know, trying to give her constructive feedback, I guess. And so this goes on for a significant amount of time, roughly a month.
Okay.
Okay. Of just spilling these emotions on Joey. So one evening, Joey obviously steps across the line.
Uh-oh.
He's talking to Rachel. They're having a conversation. Ross and Rachel's relationship is brought up again. And Joey says to Rachel, you know what? You know, I know we're really close friends. You know, we've been close friends for a long time. We know each other pretty well. But I've always felt that we've had this connection between each other.
Oh, no, he didn't.
Yeah. I think we had this really close connection. I think something could happen here if you are pretty much up for it.
Wow.
Is essentially what it was.
And Ross is his friend also, correct?
Ross is his super close friend.
Oh, no.
So he obviously crossed that line.
Yeah.
That conversation ended pretty much right there. I'm assuming. That's all that Joey told me.
Right.
So I think it was 2 days later, Rachel called him back.
Wow. So all these conversations are taking place over the phone, correct?
Over the phone,
Okay.
right.
Okay.
Rachel calls him back a couple days later, crying.
Uh-oh.
And Joey was like, what's the matter? You know, what's the deal? And she answers him back saying, hey, I had to tell Ross. I had to tell him.
Oh, no.
You know, I morally, I just had to tell him.
Well, good for her.
Right.
On that front, not good for spilling her guts in the first place, but whatever.
Yes, but she told Ross how Joey felt.
Right.
And what he said.
Oh, my gosh.
And
was Ross coming over to kick his butt or what?
No.
Oh, my gosh.
No, Ross was not that kind of guy.
Oh, okay.
But Rachel had to end it right then and there.
Good for her.
Had to end the relationship not only between Joey and Rachel, but Joey and Ross. So when Joey stepped over the line, he completely destroyed the relationship between all of them.
Yeah, absolutely.
The relationship was over.
Right.
This was a friendship that had lasted at least 10 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
I can't.
They had all known each other really well.
Right.
I had actually met them. They were really, really, really good people. That's why I asked about them
Right.
initially. And yeah, you should never take that friendship and try to make anything else more of it, especially
Right.
if you respect those people.
Wow. That's horrible.
Yeah, it was very, very sad because at that same time I knew I'd never see him again.
Right.
You know,
That's
it
unfortunate.
was a very unfortunate situation.
Wow. So all in all, in that situation, I think Rachel was obviously in the wrong for venting to Joey. Depending on how comfortable you are with your significant other talking about those types of things. Now, I don't know if Ross was aware that she was
I doubt it.
venting, I guess, or oversharing. But I think that was the first part, is she put herself in that situation.
Yes.
And then, like you said, Joey completely crossed that line.
It's unfortunate.
Extremely unfortunate.
Yeah.
Wow. So I have something that's a little bit similar that happened in my own life and in a previous relationship. And it was something that I noticed. People like to make fun of women because they say that women overreact about certain things.
Okay.
Now, I don't consider myself to be an overreactor, so to speak,
Right.
but I notice things. If you're with somebody for a long period of time and you pay attention, you notice things about their habits, you notice things about, just their day-to-day activities, right? So I had noticed that my ex at the time, my boyfriend or whatever, was starting to act kind of distant and
Okay.
would snap about little things that he wouldn't normally snap about. And, I didn't really say anything at the time.
Mm-hmm.
And then he had mentioned, I had come home from work and he had mentioned that he was almost late for work. But luckily, one of his coworkers had messaged him and it woke him up. And I was like, oh, okay. I didn't think anything of it.
Mm-hmm.
But I noticed in the conversation, he wasn't using pronouns.
Okay.
He was saying they, my coworker. It wasn't he or she.
Oh, right.
It was they. So, of course, if you are going out of your way to use non-gender specific pronouns,
Right.
that's going to be a huge red flag.
Huge.
So I said, a male or female? And, he just looked at me and it took him a second. And that split second hesitation
yes.
told me.
Yeah, it told you everything.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and it all it took was that.
And he said a female. And I said, okay. I said, well, why is she messaging you so early in the morning? And he couldn't understand why I was getting upset. And the key thing that we were missing was that communication.
Mm-hmm.
He was not a communicator at all. He would shut down. So there was no way that I was able to explain to him what about it was making me uncomfortable.
Right.
And the fact that he felt that he needed to hide that from me was what made it even more of a red flag to me.
Right.
Because if this is somebody that you work with, is just a coworker, and it wasn't a big deal, you would have said it right off the bat.
Yeah.
Because he did have other female coworkers and he did speak about them and it was never an issue with me.
Right.
So why all of a sudden is this one an issue? So I kind of kept it to myself and unfortunately it kind of stewed and I noticed that he would be communicating because we had a joint phone account. So I went on the phone records and he was
Right.
communicating with this person very, very often, messaging very often,
Right.
sending video pictures or pictures often. So I confronted him about it and he said, we're just coworkers and we were talking about work stuff and, and obviously that didn't sit well with me. And the more defensive he got about it, the more upset I would get about it.
Yeah.
And of course, the last thing that you want is to be accused of being crazy.
Right.
Because you know that you're not crazy.
Right.
You're bringing legitimate issues. And that person's guilt is making it even more apparent by them calling you crazy. So we were discussing this. We were having a heated discussion, and he made the comment that she couldn't understand why I was so upset about the pictures. And I said, wait a minute. How does she know that I was upset about the pictures? And he said, well, I told her. And I said, why are you telling her anything about what's going on in our relationship? And he could not understand why that was so upsetting to me. And he said, I showed her your messages.
No.
And it was like a car screeching to a halt in my head.
Oh, no.
And I said, wait a minute. You showed her my messages?
Right.
And I said, I am absolutely not okay with this. And of course, we argued about it for a little bit longer. And either he was just tired of talking to me about it and just agreed with me, or he figured out some other way to communicate with her. I don't know.
Wow.
It's a previous relationship, so I don't even
think about it hardly.
No, not anymore. But obviously, bearing on this podcast episode, it bears on this, so that's why I brought it up. But yeah, so those types of things is exactly. I mean, that was everything that we talked about.
Everything.
He was discussing our relationship with somebody else, and those red flags were there, and he was unwilling to have the conversation with me about it. And when confronted with my opinion or with my evidence, I was crazy.
Yeah. And he never did understand.
No.
Wow.
No. Yeah.
That's unfortunate.
That's why he's an ex.
That's right. That's right.
One of many reasons.
Yeah.
So, I think it all comes down to really knowing your boundaries, respecting your partner, and really not putting yourself into a situation that would cause your partner to question your relationship, your fidelity, or anything like that. I think that it's extremely important, and obviously the communication aspect.
Oh, yeah. Everything. Mm-hmm. I totally agree with that.
And speaking of putting yourself into situations,
right?
I think we need to discuss what's been going on at your previous job.
Oh, my goodness. All right. So just to fill y'all guys in real quick here. So y'all listen to episode 6. If you haven't listened to episode 6, make sure you go over there and listen to that, because that was juicy. So after all that came out, the right people heard what I had to say,
right,
or what we both had to say that day, that I was contacted by them.
By some senior people.
And they obviously didn't know how it all went down. So that's what I did.
That's not surprising at all.
Right? Mm-hmm. So I told them how it went down, and they straight up said, that's wrong.
Right.
It shouldn't have been like that.
Right.
You gave them a 2-week notice, but they didn't honor it.
Right.
Which they had to, or they should have.
Mm-hmm. You tried to do the right thing.
I did. I tried to do the right thing. It was the right thing, and even my new employer asked if I could have started that day.
Right.
And I told him no. Mm-hmm. No, I got to give my job 2 weeks.
Yep.
And then once I gave him my 2 weeks that day, nope, we're not honoring your 2 weeks. You're done.
That's so ridiculous.
Yeah. So long story short, your boy did the right thing. Other people agree, and I get the last word.
And all of the people that pretty much made your life there miserable, I hope that they realize the repercussions. Unfortunately, I don't think that they will, because they're
closed-minded.
Like yeah.
They can't really think outside the box.
Right.
They attempted to belittle not only me, but a lot of other people. But, they just aren't intelligent enough to understand, the right thing to do or the right way to go about doing something. So,
right.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate, because there really are some good people there.
There were really good people there.
And it's the bad apples, unfortunately, that kind of ruin the bunch,
Yeah. Yeah, that's all it takes. So, needless to say, I've got a different job now, totally different.
Right.
Right.
But still helping people, because that's what you love to do.
Still helping people. I love doing that. It's just, it's less outdoor environment and more of a office environment, which is, it's good.
Right. Especially with these hot summers out here. Holy cow.
I know it. I know it.
So like we mentioned at the beginning, we have all of our videos up on our YouTube channel, and you can access our YouTube channel from our website, rrwithrr.com, as well as all of our other social media content, our Instagram, our Facebook, our Twitter, all that good stuff. You can find it there. And we really hope that you take a look and, watch the videos. And some of the videos are a little long, 20 minutes or so. And then there's some that are just a couple minutes. So please
absolutely.
be sure to subscribe and like and leave comments, because we love your feedback.
We love it all. Yeah. So make sure you watch those.
Yeah.
Because it's a lot of fun for us to make. But we really hope and like to hear good things about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So as always, guys, thank you so much for the support and the downloads and the listens. We really, really appreciate it, because, it just gives us that much more incentive to actually do this every week.
Right.
And to hear what y'all think about it and stuff. It's a really awesome thing.
Yeah, it is. It's a great feeling.
And so thank you so much for your support. So until next Thursday, guys, y'all take care, and we'll talk to you then.
See you later, guys.
See ya.